Hey everybody, welcome back to Desert Family Homestead. See, I got the name right this time. Beautiful morning here in Arizona. Just wanted to come to you and talk to you a little bit more about your gardens. So I got to thinking about it and thought, I'm teaching everybody how to garden out in the desert where you have a lot of space. What about those who live in the desert that don't have a lot of space? Sorry about the light, trying to find the right angle for it. So, if I'm a little dark in the shadows, okay. But people who live in apartments, people who live in housing developments that have very small yard areas, and they're not, or the HOA won't allow them to have a full-fledged garden in their front or backyard. Um, or you've got pets, big dogs that like to dig. So there's just different ways and things that you can do that you can have a garden. The very first garden I had, we lived in a duplex, and they would not allow me to dig up the ground or anything like that, and I couldn't put any big beds or anything. So I just got a couple flower pots, and my parents had a really, really big one, and that's what I planted my tomato plant in. And then I had a couple smaller pots that I just planted some radishes in and some lettuce, and that's how I got started. And I put them up near our patio, and because we did have a small patio. And then from that duplex, we moved to an apartment complex that all we had was, off of our little living room, we had a sliding glass door with a little walled in patio area. And it was a very small patio area. So again, I went back to my parents' house and got my pots and planted and just had it on my patio like that. Now, one tomato plant wasn't enough that I could put tomatoes up for future use, but during the summertime, I didn't have to buy any tomatoes, and I didn't have to buy lettuce. So, you know, it worked. It helped keep our grocery bill down when our electric bill was higher, because here in the summertime, electric bills can be astronomical because it gets so hot here that we really have to, we really rely on air conditioning here to keep cool. So for those of you in the Midwest or back east and everything, your utility bills are usually higher in the wintertime. Ours are higher in the summertime. So there's a trade-off for us being able to do things out here that you all can't do back there. Um, and on our electric bills, utility bills. But yeah, so that's what we did. And then from that apartment complex, we moved to another apartment complex that was kind of like a quadplex. There was one building was 4 different apartments, but and our front door opened, and across the sidewalk was the apartment across from us, their front door too. But we had a lot of area in the front, and I went to the manager because people had, some plants out, and then they had, fake stuff out there too, and just some decorations. And so I went to the manager of the apartments, and I asked her, I was like, can I put some planters out and have a little garden out there? And she said, what kind of a garden? So I told her, I wanted to grow tomatoes. I wanted to grow some lettuce and some radishes and some cucumbers, because I wanted to add cucumbers that year. I had a little bit more space. And she was like, yeah, as long as they're in pots, who cares? And you keep them nice looking. So that's what I did. And then we bought a house in town, and we moved, and I took my pots with me because I wasn't going to leave them behind, especially at an apartment complex. So I did that, and that's when I got into in-ground gardening. But before that, I was just growing in regular pots. Now, if you want to grow carrots, radishes, anything that is considered a root crop, which is growing under the ground, the part that you eat, you want to make sure that you have a pot that's deep enough to keep that fruit growing and give it room to grow. Now, you will hear me referring to vegetables as fruit because anything that you harvest off of the plant is called the fruit of the plant. So that's why I use that term. So just to give you a little education on it. Just looking at my chickens over there. But so, you know, beets, anything like that, you want to make onions, you want to make sure that you have enough depth so that they have room to grow, especially carrots, because they are long. But you can get little finger carrots and you can get half carrots. I think they're called Danvers half carrots, half long carrots, and they don't grow quite as long as a normal carrot. Like when you go to the grocery store and buy carrots and they're anywhere from 6 inches to a foot long, you know. So you can buy the seeds for carrots that are a little bit shorter, and then you don't have to worry about having quite as deep of a pot or a raised bed or whatever container you're using to grow in. It is hitting 100 and above here in our area now, and so one of the things that I have noticed that I really need to do every day is come out and water at least my tomato plants. Because, so for those of you that have your gardens going already and you've got tomato plants out there, you need to really keep track on them and everything. If you notice that your leaves are starting to curl up a little bit, that means they definitely need some water. So you want to make sure that the leaves stay open and that they don't curl. So I've been out here pretty much every day watering my tomatoes and then watering my beds every other day still. It will come to a point probably where once we hit 110 that I will probably have to water the whole entire garden every day. And that is one of the keys to gardening in the desert, is making sure that you're getting enough water to your plants. Making sure that they get shade too. I know when we look at seeds, we look at plants and you find the little information stuff and you know, and it says full sun. Well, this is Arizona and our full sun is very intense, especially once we hit those 110 plus degree temperatures. So you want to make sure that they get some afternoon shade if possible. Here in this next week, I probably will have my son out here helping me put one of my shade covers up. I only have one right now, and I plan on getting another one, but it will help create some shade in the more shade in the afternoon for my garden to help protect my plants and keep them from getting sunburned and withering up and dying on me. Another thing with tomatoes here in the desert, there's a trend all across this country to trim your tomato plants down and make it so that it's just basically one stalk with a few leaves and branches coming off of it. That doesn't work here in Arizona because the plant needs to be able to shade itself and shelter itself. So if you don't, now you can trim the suckers off, that's fine, that's not a big deal. And you can take some of the branches off if you want to keep your plant a little bit more smaller and controlled, that's fine. But you don't want to make it so where it's just basically your stalk with a few branches coming off. A couple of reasons. One, the branches will shade each other. They will shade the tomatoes. The leaves will shade the tomatoes themselves and keep them from getting sunburned, which can happen very easily. And it will also give you more tomatoes. By keeping your branches on, you keep your tomatoes. Another thing too is every blossom that you see on your tomato plant will be a tomato for you. And that's how it is on any of your vegetables or fruits that you grow like that. When you see flowers, that means you're getting the fruit of the plant coming on. So it's like with my cucumbers. Once they start flowering, every flower will be a cucumber. What else will there be? Let's see, tomatoes, melons. every flower will be a melon. And I actually have 4 melon plants that came up. Still don't know which one is which, but that's okay. We love melons of all kinds and we'll eat them. Even if we have if we have if we only have 2 watermelons that come up, that's fine too. Doesn't bother me. We'll eat melon. My family loves melons. I am starting to notice that I'm getting quite a few tomatoes on all my plants, which is a good thing, and the blossoms are coming up. They're doing really well. I'm still harvesting lettuce. My beets some of them are starting to be ready to pick, and I have been planting more of them. Last weekend I did thin out some of my carrots and then I made a salad with the lettuce from my garden, and I had some cucumbers and tomatoes that I got from our powwow distribution, and I made a big salad for my family for lunch, and that was what we had. So, I mean, basically our lunch last week was free. Last Sunday it was free. So because I didn't have to pay for anything, and we had gotten bell peppers in our powwow box too. So I mean, it's just a matter of learning what you're doing, not knowing, because we have to learn to know. So, yeah, my okra's coming up. My corn is finally starting to come up, although something has started to eat on my corn plants, which is very frustrating. So I'm putting my rubber snakes in. So when I do a garden tour video again, if you see snakes in my video, they're rubber, and they help scare off birds, and they're supposed to scare off lizards too, but who knows. If I could contain the gopher snake that my kids found the other day, I'd bring it over here and put it in my garden, but it'd probably try to get into my chicken pen and eat my eggs too, so I don't want that. But it would definitely scare off the birds and the lizards in here. But yeah, I'm going to do another video here pretty soon, and I'm going to show you how I thin my carrots out, because they'll need to be thinned out a little bit more again, and I have planted more so that they'll keep growing. I'm going to show you the trick on picking your lettuce so that your lettuce will continue to grow and everything. So when you harvest your lettuce, you're not harvesting everything at one time. And the one plant that was in my bed for my beets, yeah, it's a mesquite tree. So out it came. I have no more need for more mesquite trees around here. The trees that are coming in out here are going to be fruit trees. We're going to do a small citrus orchard and then some fruit trees, and use the fruit trees for a dual purpose. One, we'll get food off of them, and then the other will be that we're getting shade on our chicken pen and our garden once they start getting bigger. So, and it'll help provide some privacy, because the property to the south of us sold, so we'll be having a new neighbor. But just the way it goes. My quiet time of being alone on my road is done and over, unfortunately. So I just got to make the best of it while I'm here. So yeah, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Like I said, if I don't know the answer, I'll be honest and tell you I really don't know. But I'll try to answer you to the best of my ability, try to help you out and do the best that I can so that you can do the best that you can in your garden. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe, and just hope that I'm helping you to grow either if you've been growing and not doing so well, hoping that I'm helping you grow better, or helping you to get started with your gardening. So God bless. Have a great day. Keep on gardening.